Teaching and learning strategies in second language learning. Now, we have several researchers who are trying to figure out what are the effective learning strategies for second language learners. So, the taxonomy or the categories developed by O'Malley and Gemot in 1990 also fall under the same dimension. However, this taxonomy or these categories are different because they emphasize the role of teaching also. So they do not look at learner strategies in isolation. However, they talk about this interaction between teachers and students as a part of strategy development. And in this strategy development, they emphasize on scaffolding. You would remember where this concept comes from. If I would like to remind you of the sociocultural theory of learning, and we said scaffolding is the structure that you put under a building which is as yet too weak to stand on it by itself. So when you want to put a roof, for instance, you have this scaffolding under it, and then after some time, when it has dried out and the roof has become strong enough on its own, you remove the scaffolding. This is the scaffolding over here would mean supporting the students gradually on the basis of their needs. So as once they develop the skill, the teacher somehow leaves or gives more autonomy to the learners to move on with the task. This taxonomy also focuses on the development of metacognitive skills. So metacognitive skills are extremely important because then you are drawing attention of the learner to manage their own learning. So you draw attention to how to manage, how to organize, how to prioritize. These things are metacognitive strategies. And they have this, what they call cognitive academic language learning rubric. So they call this taxonomy CALL. We also have Biggs model in 1992, and this model addresses both motivation and learning strategies together. So it says that the choice of the learning strategies by the learner will actually depend upon the learner's motivation or orientation to learn the language. So the question why the learner is learning a language would also lead to the choice of the strategy he or she will choose. And within these strategies, he talks about different categories. He said learners might choose to only be involved in what he calls surface processing of the language. When we are when we are engaged in surface processing of language, we do not invest ourselves so much in the language itself, but we just try to rote learn and get over with the immediate task. We will talk about the difference between surface processing and deep processing in more detail in the coming module. In any case, in contrast to the surface processing, deep processing is when the learners are completely involved in the learning process. And then there is something in between, what he calls achievement processing. There is this sense of competitiveness, and the learners try to learn a specific segment of the language because they want to pass an exam or they want to get a grade. And this is what he calls achievement processing. In the coming modules, we will have a closer look at the difference between surface and deep processing.